Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome, everybody. Looks like I have a bad stream status. What's new? See y'all's in. Michael Fontaine, Kai Lucas Zachary, Consciousness of Steel, The Quick. Some new people in. Jay Emblin, Don't Fall Asleep. China Insider. Kilcook Monty. Shari D, welcome. Paul Ward. Moonlit Illusion. Looks like that's it. Alejandro Ukami. I think that's everybody. People are talking about being tired. I actually really got that hard on the weekend, last weekend. I was like really tired for like 2 days. Of course, I got a million orders at work. It was ridiculous. I had like 3 times normal orders. And I was so tired. I was like, I don't want to work here anymore. Just because I was tired. You know, you always want to have a lot of sales, and then you suddenly get 3 times more sales, and you're behind, and everybody wants their order right away, and then you're like, no, I don't want that many sales. Can't have everything, you know. Let's see. My thumb was sore and swollen, but only the right thumb. I've had weird digit pains in the past. Like, it's like, I don't know, one digit hurts, then some other digit. Something will hurt for like 2 hours, and it'll go away. All right, so we got I've just kind of been looking at like a lot of the conspiracy theories lately, some of the newer ones. And one that I've heard a ton of lately is that viruses aren't really like what we think. And, you know, in my old timeline, there was good evidence for viruses. The old storyline was that viruses had RNA and not DNA, and they would invade the host cell. There was like a lock and a key. Cells have like locks on them, like ways in, and like if the virus had the right protein that fit like a key in the lock, it could open up the cell and get in. Basically, it would, if it put its protein key in that lock, the cell would allow it in through the cell membrane. And so that was the deal. And so they pretty much knew the entryways of the different viruses. And so the viruses would go into the cell, and then they were able to commandeer the cell nucleus to make more of itself. And eventually the cell will get so bloated and sick with these viral copies that the cell would explode or break apart, you know, die, whatever, and all these viruses would then swim out and infect more cells. And one of the reasons it was hard to kill a virus is because the virus would hide inside the cell. And so you couldn't, you could take all the medicine you want, but the medicine would float outside the cell and the virus would hide inside the cell. The only time you could catch the viruses were when they were in between cells, which is not the majority of the time. So that's why somehow the body would have to figure it out and nuke all these viruses. So there was, I believe in my old timeline, there was plenty of evidence that viruses were what they said they were. But lately, the last, what is it, just like 2-3 months, all of a sudden everywhere there's this storyline that viruses aren't really like, they're just kind of like parts of the body or something that exists naturally in the body, that they're not these things that spread via contagion at all, which, you know, I think definitely some people in the Mandela Effect community are just like, psh, what baloney, you know. And I definitely feel like I was tempted to say that as well, but, you know, I don't know what the reality is here. And just because I knew a lot about viruses, you know, 10 years ago, and that was the storyline then, I just don't know if the evidence is really going to be the same in this timeline. Reality may be totally, this whole storyline of reality and evidence and everything might be different here. So I looked into it. So this is a particularly interesting YouTube channel. I guess the channel is just called, his name is Andrew Kaufman, Andrew space Caufman. He was on one of the other channels. I think it was Brian Staveley's channel. And I like this video, Special Report, Humanity is Not a Virus. So basically what he is arguing here with It's a reasonable sounding argument that human cells have these things called endosomes. When they're inside the cell, they're endosomes, and in certain situations, they move to the outside of the cell, and then they're called exosomes. And so you can watch the whole video, but basically he's saying that endosomes slash exosomes look like this. This is like a imaging of it. And this is what the COVID-19 cell is supposed to look like inside a cell. And he has some other images in here too. But basically what he's saying is that COVID-19, what they say it looks like, looks just like endosomes. And also a bunch of other commonalities. Let me see if I can find those. They have like the same lock and key protein mechanism. I think that was the page. Was that the page? Let's see if my computer is about like this close to giving up the ghost right now, unfortunately. See, because I have all these windows on them. Okay, yeah, so here, exosome size is about the same. Diameter outside the cell is the same. The receptor that it attaches to is the same. Both contain RNA, and both are found in the bronchoalveolar lung fluid. So one of the things he was saying is, according to his research, how did the Chinese find the virus was that they took sick people and they took a sample of the bronchial tube fluids and they analyzed it, and they came up with that they think that this particular particle is COVID-19. But his argument is that the endosomes, when they're outside of the cell and called exosomes, also live in that same place, and maybe what they think is COVID is just exosomes, which is a natural part of our body. So then that makes it really tricky, because now you're just testing for like a natural part of our body, so it wouldn't be unusual for it to come up positive. I don't know. It's just very... And then this whole argument is even more spooky, because if that's a natural part of your body and then they make a vaccine against it, well, that could be bad. But yeah, I just don't know what to make of stuff anymore. I mean, there's so many conspiracy theories, and every one that you look at, you'll find a bunch of interesting evidence. 5G is another one. If you look into 5G, okay, so it's like basically a form of microwave radiation. There are scientists saying that the body acts as an antenna, like the human body, and is particularly attractant to the 5G style radiation. I've seen some charts where there's like a little spike right there, right where the human cell material is like for some reason the 5G resonates with it more. So then now you've got, so yeah, I mean, there is argument that 5G could be dangerous. I don't really think that any radiation is probably great for us. But, it's kind of hard because, when I was a kid, then it was like, oh, microwaves are going to get you, like, when you're cooking your food. And then it was 4G, and then it was 5G. I don't know. We have a whole new body. Our whole DNA, our whole genetics is different now. Our environment's different. I suspect that this stuff is all acting together. I don't, 5G, but we have a new anatomy. So, I don't know. I just don't think 5G is going to get us. That's my personal opinion. I can understand people were kind of freaking out because I was like, yeah, 5G. I just don't think anything is so cut and dried, and I don't think we can look at it in a conventional way anymore. So, all right, I'm going to kill that one because any load off the computer right now is probably good. Hopefully I haven't lost connection. Because, look at the computer. It is not moving. Hello? Come on. Oh, somebody left me $10. Woohoo! No idea who it is. I'm going to have to try to come back when my computer works. I'm going to run over here and I'm going to do this space one because I think this one might be killing my computer. Ever since I loaded this one. Then we'll get back to the conspiracy theories. Come on, computer. Vaccination's not instant. Not with the 2.2 reproduction rate, it would take a while for an effective attenuated viral vaccine. Yeah, see, that's another thing. Like they got a vaccine lined up. You know, I used to always hear how it took like 3 years to at least to come up with a vaccine. Here we got a couple months where they've already made it. I mean, they're already in clinical trials supposedly for a vaccine for COVID-19. It just the big C. It just seems highly unlikely. Oh, come on, computer. You know, I've got like a jillion, well, slight exaggeration, but I have a bunch of windows open and I really don't want to have to hunt those down again. Come on, come on. 5G, it's all microwaves now. Older towers are radio waves. Well, I don't know. I thought 4G was also microwave. 2G, I don't know. Yeah, 2G, what's that one? It's other realities and timelines doing this to us. I don't know. You know, it's like every possibility is now on the table. You can believe whatever you want. You can believe mainstream media, but then if you don't want to believe them, then we've got all our own info, or that hospitals are empty and the viruses aren't real. I don't know. Come on, computer. Let me try this. Sometimes that breaks it out of its trap. Didn't appear to work that time, though. Hopefully I'm still connected. Doesn't look good. Hello? Still streaming. Yeah, I'm putting up with this because I don't want to reload these, I don't want to have to hunt down these 10 or 15 more windows. Come on, come on. Okay, so the thumbnail, people were asking about the thumbnail. It's a sun bear. I've had those up before. The reason I put them up this time as the thumbnail was, first of all the other stuff I had to talk about did not have a good image for it. But second of all, I've been watching the sun bear for a while now, like a couple years. And the reason why is because they called it, it's an ME for me, they didn't exist, and they're called sun bears. So they have this ring on their neck, and I've been watching that ring close up slowly for like the last couple years. And today I saw one that had a perfect sun, and that's what I'd been suspecting, that it was going to close and have a sun. I hope you all are still there. What I'm trying to do is open the task manager, because sometimes just opening the task manager fixes my problem. In case you're wondering what I'm doing. Oh, chihuahuas. The problem is I can't just close one link. If I could just get to that one link that's causing the problem. Look at even task manager. For some reason, sometimes just pulling up task manager will get my butt out of a sling. So right now, I can't even tell if you guys are hearing me or not. Hello? It's not good when task manager won't load. Oh, come on. Whiny, whiny, whiny. Yeah, that's not a good sign. All right, only not gonna. I guess that's not gonna fix it. Oh. Hello? Totally not working. If there's any other trick to make it work. See if I can shut down Firefox and then reload it. Hopefully you guys are still there. Sorry. If I'm lucky, Firefox will save all those windows as a restore. If I'm not lucky, I'm not lucky. Yeah, I don't know what the deal. It's like this computer has gotten worse and worse. Strangely, my two computers at work are running really well lately. I don't know if it's because of the COVID thing might be part of it. Like everybody's online here in the residential district and not in the work district, but I don't know. So yeah, anyways, the sun bears, I just been waiting because they were called sun bears. So I just felt like they were going to put a sun on their neck. And instead they just had that. Plus, you know, corona. You just have to have the sun bear for the corona. So yeah, today was the first time I saw there was I saw an image just randomly on Yahoo somewhere, and it looked like it was closing up, so I into a sun shape. So I did a quick Google on image search on sun bear, and sure enough. All right, let's pray here that it's going to have them in the restore function. Sometimes they'll have some other windows that I don't want. Oh, they're there. All right, I'm going to delete that troublesome one because I believe it's this one. This one. Boink. You can do it, computer. Now I'll see if you guys are complaining that you can't hear me. No data from the recorder. No data. Seriously? Are you guys not getting any data? I can't even get it down to see if you guys have said anything. It's not looking good. I might have to reboot the whole thing. See, I think you're there because usually OBS will inform me if it loses connection. It'll give me a little blurb. Oh, let me see the driving and listening. Okay, well, I'm not hearing any complaints about not hearing me. Yes, you are here. Since I now have cancer, 5G would be a truly death sentence if it's true. I don't think that's the case. I really do think that it's just another one of the electromagnetic field influences. It's not like you're going to get cancer for sure. And I think dealing with past trauma and, you know, held in emotions, eating healthy, exercise, sun, all that kind of stuff, I think still is a strong vote for whether you get it or not. All right, so yes, I'm still there. Okay, so I've covered Kaufman. I'm going to delete that one. Okay, I'm going to just do sun bears real quick since I was already talking about them. So yeah, I pulled up sun bears. There's a couple other things I saw. One is they're getting really wrinkly. I did notice, like, see the cowling around the face. At first I was like, what? It's got funky floppy ears like a dog. But no, it's like this extra loose skin. And you can see here their neck is becoming like, it's like a cobra neck or something. But now they're getting all wrinkly in the body too, which wasn't the case. I've been watching this cobra neck for a while, but the wrinkles are spreading. Look at wrinkly. It's like a pug dog or something. Look at the cowling on the neck. It's getting more and more ridiculous. It's like a cobra bear combination. It's totally ridiculous. I think this is the image that made me think that the sun was becoming a loop. And so when I looked it up, there it was. It has. So you can see there's most of them still don't have a full sun on their neck. But they've gotten close. See, this one's close. And there's just a lot of erraticness to them. Weird spots and stuff. When they first came in, they all had a nice half circle under their neck. So now they've gotten all weird, but that one has like this perfect sun-like circle there all of a sudden. So I don't know what the Emmy is trying to make it look like. Oh, there's a lot of individual variation and you never saw the closed loop because they're kind of rare, but there's all this options. And anyway, so these guys are just looking weird. There's another super wrinkly guy. Look at how wrinkly that guy is. So I guess they'll have a lot of character. They're pretty weird looking already, and now they're getting wrinkly. The face, you notice the face is starting to get yellow on the snout. Before they were just kind of black, and then the snout was getting kind of whitish. But now some of these images, the snout and around the face there is looking really yellow. So I think we might get some kind of weird looking guy by the time we're done with all this. Very weird looking guy. All right, so there's that one. I'm going to go back to the big C now. This is a very interesting one that somebody I know outside the regular ME community sent me this argument here, and this is one I'd kind of floated myself just, out of my own observation, is when did the big C arrive in the United States? And my argument was that it could have been floating around for months before China noticed there was a problem, especially if it's not as dangerous as we think it is. And that actually adds up even beyond that, is how do we even know for sure it came from China? I mean, maybe it came from Africa, and then one guy flew to China, and then it spread there, and it spread all over the world, and China was the only one who noticed it, because maybe China has more experience with these outbreaks. And so I have yet to see the evidence that really clarifies that it came from China for sure. Because what happened was, China admitted they had a problem, and we started testing here and all over, and they began finding cases, like I think they said in somewhere they found one like the day after they began testing. So that kind of indicates to me that it was probably around for a while. All right, so this guy was wondering the same thing. It looks like I had highlights, but I think the reboot killed all my highlights. So they're talking about the seed date. The seed date is the term that when the disease first established in a specific location. We don't really know the seed date. So a lot of the curves that they're guessing depend on them knowing the seed date. That first it started, then by the time a month happened, it was here. But what if it started way back here? Then that makes it a very slow curve instead of like. So a lot of the curves that we're seeing are making a bunch of assumptions on when the virus really got started and that it was more dangerous versus it started earlier and it's not as dangerous. All right, so let's see, it's like a mid-January around is when China admitted they had a problem. So he's kind of going, this person, I actually don't know who this person is. It's a doctor, I believe. But all right, so they're talking about the flu viruses that we had in November 2019. So theoretically, that was before the big C arrived in the United States. According to the assumptions that they're making, which I don't understand why more people aren't asking this question. Everybody's just like in, this one track dogmatic thinking. And ironically, this paper, although highly scientific by a doctor with statistics and all that, that just is a theory paper, was taken down from social media, blocked by the social media that it was originally posted on, without explanation, of course, because it's just a scientific paper. Okay, so basically going over the symptoms and how we already kind of know that the symptoms of the big C are very similar to the symptoms of a typical flu. So you can't really tell by symptoms. You know, you pretty much are assuming that it is an issue of severity and how sick you get. All right, so in December 2019, UK's National Health Service reported that they were experiencing an exceptionally bad flu season and conducted media outreach to encourage citizens to get their flu shots in hopes the campaign might curtail the outbreak. Almost 12,000 patients across Britain went to their GP last week complaining of influenza-like symptoms. This is 20% higher than the week before, where 9,500 went. So basically, they're saying this was a bad flu year. Early start of the season had left 2,092 people in England needing treatment for the Contagion virus so far in 2019. By comparison, there were just 256 hospital admissions with flu at the same point 12 months ago. So 2018 at that time was 256 hospital admissions, and then by 2019, same time, 2,092. So a huge difference. I mean, you could just say, okay, well, the flu season was off to an early start, but... And the number of patients rushed into intensive care with the flu is 3 times higher than last winter. That's what they said in 2019. So December 2019, oh my gosh, the number of intensive care patients is triple last year. Everybody get your flu shots. It's a really bad flu year. Yam, 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 yam. Okay, but how do we know that these were ordinary flu and not the big C? Because they weren't testing for the big C then, so they just assumed, right? Okay, so one thing they do when you're really sick with some kind of flu-like illness is they'll test for some of the known flu strains. So they'll go, okay, and then there are always going to be times when it just doesn't come up as any of the known flu strains. You test negative, and they just say, I don't know, flu-like symptoms, but we don't know exactly what the germ is. Okay, so this is just the basic visits here. For this, let's see, the gray one was this year. So like right here is like December. So by the beginning of January, that's about like the end of December, beginning of January, we already had this giant spike here. So we are all the way out to here now, visits to the hospital. And then the 2018-19, the year before, is this orange one. And then the year before that is this blue one. Okay, so you can see this year's been bad, basically. And like they were saying, a lot more people had to go to ICU. And that was before we even knew about the big C. Okay, so the next thing they did was this is the graph for everybody that tested positive for known flu strains at that time, which was not the big C. And you can see that it's pretty stable. Last year and the year before, they've all about the same. Blue is this year. Okay, so if you subtract this chart from the one above, then the chart you'll have left is going to be all the unknown viral infection, flu-like viral infections. And that's this chart. So right here we have the mysterious, unknown viral flu infections. It subtracted all the ones where they tested positive for known flus. So you can see this year, it pretty much looks like the first graph. This year has just been nasty. So all in here is kind of like when we're wondering if what's China doing and blah, blah, blah. I can't actually read that, so I'm sorry. But I know it's all like dates of what's going on. And you can see there's the link here. So Okay, so the person's argument is basically the reason that the graph is so high with all these flus and an abnormally large number of people getting extra sick and having to go to the ICU is because COVID may have already been here all this time. And if it was, then we're probably at like the end of the peak already, because when they make all these charts, they're assuming that we're starting the C epidemic here. If we started it way back here, then that totally changes all the projections and charts. The simple explanation for the dramatic increase in visits in November, December 2019 is an earlier than presumed seeding of the big C in the United States. All right, so it's just an interesting one. I'll put a link to this thing in the description so you can check it out because it's worth reading. I actually just got a bunch of this stuff like earlier today, so I haven't even had time to read it myself. All right, here's another one. Hospitals across the nation laying off tens of thousands of healthcare workers. I know it's true here. We have an acquaintance that is a former nurse, and she went to the hospital to volunteer her services, and they said, "Oh no, we don't need anybody. We're laying people off." Well, it's not really surprising because we've only got like close to 300 hospitalized cases, and those numbers are total hospitalized. I mean, some of them are out by now, so they're not all concurrent. Maybe a lot of them are, but okay. Even in coronavirus hotspots, healthcare workers are having their hours cut or given pink slips. The Times highlighted trained healthcare workers sidelined even in areas around Detroit and Washington where infection rates are climbing, and even as hard-hit hospitals are pleading for help. See, this doesn't make any sense. Wouldn't you just send the nurses over to the other location then if those places are all slammed? These doctors are saying they're exhausted and they haven't gotten any sleep. And why don't you just send some of these furloughed hospital workers from the other hospital over there? That would just make sense, wouldn't it? I mean, who could run a business that doesn't operate at least with, that many brain cells? You would have to be able to. I don't get it because on the news, they're saying, oh, veterinarians, are being contacted and asked to volunteer to back up in case, the regular nurses can no longer handle it. I'm like, okay, we're going to veterinarians now, but we're laying off the regular nurses. I mean, it's just, none of these storylines make any sense. All right, let's see what you guys are up to. I haven't listened in a while here. Reality is becoming so weird. Get me off this crazy train. Yeah, it's just like every reality all smashed on top of each other. Pick your belief system. You will find evidence for it. 5G or whatever, flat earth, everything has evidence for it. 5G. See, 5G microwave towers killing us. I don't know. It could be. I really wonder if it's just some kind of shift sickness where the body is just having trouble making the last shift over. Maybe we're being pushed a little harder. Are we getting to a point where you have to shift into your timeline, even if you're not quite ready? Either now or never kind of a thing. So some people are getting really sick. It seems to me like the last 2 years, 2, 3 years, a lot of people have been that I know of have gone through really bad illnesses of various kinds. Like I had said before, even before the big C thing, I was saying there's just so many deaths reported in the news all the time. And most of them were, just all kinds of stuff. It wasn't necessarily illness, although some were. It's drug overdose, freak accidents, just all kinds of stuff. Rather oddly, food places open but close everything else down. Well, I mean, you got to eat, so there's going to be there's going to be riots in the streets. Plus, I think they're trying to give the restaurants an ability to pay their rent a tad. Vaccinations are not instant. Yeah, okay, well, that's really old. I'm like way behind. I've been out of work a month now. My wife 3 weeks. Yeah, I mean, and then like, see, I don't know if it was me, and I'm not even like an expert, but I did the research on viral outbreaks and what China did and their arguments. I would have said everybody wear masks from the first, but not close down everybody's workplaces. I certainly would have, just from the logic of this timeline, from the research I can see, that would be the first thing I would say is everybody wear masks when they're out in public, social distance, and don't have any unnecessary groupings like concerts and parties and stuff. But I wouldn't have gone straight to closing down all the workplaces. That doesn't make sense when you haven't done other things. But yet they said no masks, and I don't get it. It doesn't really make sense from where they started to where they jumped to. Are you not eligible for state benefits? Need inputs in Japan, so who knows what their deal is over there. I think 5G is nefarious and not good for you. It could be not good for you even if it's not nefarious. It's microwaves. I mean, it's radiation. So, I mean, it could be as simple as they don't care if it's bad for you. Um, I do agree with a lot of people who are saying it's suspicious the way they're just pushing it out. It's really expensive. I don't think I see the advantage to push it out so rapidly when I don't see that much advantage that it would be worth that much money to put into it. Like, what are we going to get out of it? I don't know. I mean, like, this whole timeline is just weird. Everything is just weird. Nothing really makes much sense anymore. The choices people make don't make much sense. YouTube changed where if you click on an avatar, the go to channel option is missing now. Yeah, I actually noticed that, I think maybe last week. And so, like, see, if I want to go to Nachiketa's channel, I used to be able to click on the name and then I would get there, or Jay Emblin or whoever. But you can't now. So say you like what somebody's saying, I'm going to go to their channel. Like Need Input's got a good channel. You want to go to his channel. You used to be able to just click on his name and then you would go to his channel. But now it doesn't work. So I'd have to copy paste this and then go to Google. And Google just does not, it makes you work really hard sometimes to find YouTube channels. I've definitely had to put in some serious struggling. It gives you a whole bunch of other crap first. I tell you, lately my download speeds are super fast. Yeah, I guess it just depends on. Oh, because you have 5G. I don't know. My home computer just sucks. I don't know if it's my ISP that just sucks. That could be it. I don't know. There's not really much option where I live. It's pretty much DirecTV or AT&T, and AT&T bought DirecTV, so pretty much the same thing. So anyway, yeah, try to eat healthy and stuff. I mean, that's all I can really say on those things. Hydrochloroquine is the cure for 5G. Yeah, I don't know a lot about hydrochloroquine. Apparently it's related to quinine. And then I was looking up quinine, and there was a doctor saying just take quinine, if you have any concerns. Quinine is also used as an anti-malarial. They don't know. When I'm looking at the wiki, it says they don't know how it works exactly. So I kind of hit a dead end there because I couldn't really get any meat on, what quinine does. Quinine is, I guess, extracted from a bark of a tree. and it's an old school cure for malaria. And also, people used to take it for restless leg syndrome, and then it was taken off the list for that. So it's kind of a weird thing. I don't know. Not in that age group, but 606,000 died last year from this disease. What disease are we talking about? Because, like, what was it? There was one of the doctors was saying if you look at the death rate, the published official death rate for Lombardy, I believe it was, the worst part of Italy for the big C. And the number of people died, it was 1 in 20,000 people died. And then 1 in 2,000 contracted the illness, and 1 in 20,000 died. So you look at it that way, that your chance of getting it is 1 in 2,000. You know, you might not be so nervous. And that was in the worst part of Italy. So it's a real virus, though. It is deadly to certain groups, and mostly healthy persons under age of 60, you will not have symptoms. The thing is, like, when you get old and really sick, a nasty flu is often what takes people down. It just, you don't have much respiratory function anymore. Anyway, maybe you have COPD, or you're just old. Your body can't take much. And it a lot of times the flu is the thing that kicks people off. It just, it's the last straw that falls on the pile. So yes, this is, from what I can guess, basically the big C is it's an extra nasty flu. So I would expect more people to get sick from it. But again, looking at that chart about is the curve flattened already? It's not enough to warrant what's happening. And I don't think they had enough data to warrant what's happening. And, when they publish all those death rates, they know darn well that a whole bunch of people that didn't get that sick have been left out of that calculation. So why are they comparing it to the flu when the flu includes the calculation of all the people that don't get that sick and don't go to the hospital? So it's deliberate the way that they're misrepresenting it. Moon was big in oranges tonight. Africa. No, I'm just guessing Africa because, they have a lot of weird animals and stuff. I'm just throwing it out there. I really don't know, some countries just don't track stuff that well, and if they had a little bit more deaths that year, I don't think it would really, especially if it was old people who are likely to get sick anyway, I don't think it would even get on the SARS-CoV-2 has 2 haplogroups, Italian and Chinese. Yeah, they're just saying it's mutations. And that's an interesting storyline because it can spin any way they want later. They could say that there was one more deadly and one less deadly strain. We're just going to have to wait and see how that floats. Because right now, it's like things just jump all over. Today it's this, then this, then this, and this, and this, and then they completely contradict themselves, and then I somehow cured myself with silver colloid, lemon balm oil, Panadol, blah, blah, blah. Most people recover, so, it might be your own immune system kicking butt. I feel like flattening the curve is a ploy to mess up the search for flat Earth research by showing up coronavirus stuff. I don't know. They didn't use the word flat Earth, and if they really wanted to mess up the search engine, they just have to call Google up and ask them to mess it up, and so it'll suck even worse than it has in the last 2 years. I mean, you wouldn't need to lock down the entire world just to keep you off of Google's favorite search function. Italy has a lot of bats. Everybody has a lot of bats. There's bats. I mean, there's so many Mandela bats. They're everywhere. I mean, breathing from the abdomen, deep breaths. Yeah, I said before, I got a nasty flu last year, and it did attack my respiratory system, and I don't have an experience with that usually. So that was a weird flu. I got it out with a certain medicine, ephedrine, that works really good on me. My body loves ephedrine, so I was able to clear out the congestion with that. My ex died on January 11 after battling a bad flu. He was only 55. I'm pretty sure it was this big C virus given the symptoms. It could have been. Yes, it very could have been. A lot of people, I think, have been moving out of the timeline for various reasons, though. I mean, I said this before. There were so many deaths. Like my neighbor's son died, and it was some kind of accident. Think it wasn't an illness. My what was that? My mother's sister-in-law. She's my aunt, I guess. She died, but I don't know what the exact symptoms were on that one. So yeah, she might have had C19. She died on October 31st, actually. So a little bit early in the game, but I call it the big C because I don't want to say the word a lot because of the YouTube bots are deleting everything. So I started calling it that. It's just my own word. Other people have other nicknames for it for the same reason. We don't put any keywords that have to do with any descriptors, because the YouTube bots are going around and just banning lots of videos. Prisons are on super lockdown since China announced the virus. Can't even visit, no yard times. Yeah, that would suck. Yeah, they manipulate the cause of the death to have more people dying from the big C. Yeah, I covered that on the live stream that I had on Monday. So I covered a lot of those. Bats are probably saying stupid human virus. Yeah, I'm really curious how that spins out. I think we might hear a lot of different stories on where it came from. The bat story is not settled in stone. And even if it is, we've seen the Mandela. We'll flip it just easily anyway. Eva, you got 2 super chats. Wish I could take credit for it. Ah. Derm, 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 derm. Futuristic is 1. Thank you. I wonder if you participants. I forgot how to find super chats. I'm sorry. And they keep changing it. I mean, YouTube just keeps crowd V. Yeah, what is somebody else? Someone else was calling it a virus instead of a virus. Anyway, whoever besides Futuristic gave me the $10, if you guys let me know, then I will thank them because it's not on the history anymore. Okay, what is the big C is usually what? Cancer, I guess. I don't know what should I call it. Some people are calling it the Kobe disease. You're on top chat and not live chat. I don't know. What's the difference? All messages are visible. But I should still see the super chats. It's just that it's too far in the history now to see the super chats. The top chat will still show me they'll still show me the super chats. That's how I saw Futuristics one. The beer bug. Yeah, because there's no more alcohol. No more isopropyl anywhere. Yeah, I'll have to come up with a nickname for it. I don't even know. The beer bug. I don't know. The beer bug. It doesn't resonate with me. Okay. All right, so anyway, where are we at? So the curve's already flat. I'll leave that one up because I want to go back. Here's a hilarious one. I don't know if you've watched this Chris Cuomo guy. He's one of the newscasters that supposedly tested positive for the coronavirus. This is just so funny. I watched him, I think it was yesterday they were interviewing him. And so he's supposedly quarantined in his basement. So he was on, I believe it was yesterday. He said he was like, oh, this virus is so blah, blah, blah. First of all, he looks totally fine when he's talking. but he claimed he lost 15 pounds in 3 days. And I'm like, you're not going to lose 15 pounds in 3 days. But then here's the clincher. He claims he's eating double his normal amount of food, that his wife is feeding him double because he's burning through so many calories because of his fever. If anybody's ever had a nasty fever for a long time, first of all, you usually don't eat that much because, you feel like crap and your stomach is usually kind of wonky. And I've never heard of anybody eating double when they were sick with a nasty fever. It doesn't even make logical sense. How do you lose 15 pounds and you're eating double? And I guess he was trying to make it sound like his body was working so hard. It just doesn't work like that, people. That's just stupid. His whole storyline was just asinine. Okay, so apparently here on Twitter, he posted his radiograph, whatever you call it, this X-ray of his lungs that they did for him. And this doctor, Dr. Sanjay Gupta, which I guess he's a famous dude, interpreted it as, look at that corona damage. And now I haven't played the whole video. You guys can play it. But the thing is that he posted the X-ray, and this Dr. Sanjay Gupta was the one who was supposedly reading the X-ray and interpreting it. Well, Dr. Sanjay Gupta, I guess, is a neurosurgeon, so he has no experience or minimal experience reading lung radiographs. So they posted it on here, and then there's like all these people going, I'm a radiologist, your chest X-ray is completely normal. Chris, your chest X-ray is normal. This from a radiologist who sees thousands of chest X-rays every year. My husband, a radiologist for 35 years, agrees that your X-ray is completely normal. Why do they lie and make us cynical? Board-certified diagnostic radiologist, 10 years, shows us why 6 years of radiology training after med school was needed. He misinterpreted a chest X-ray on national TV. They're talking about Sanjay Gupta. It was completely normal, the X-ray, and then misspoke the implications of that misinterpretation. Let's see. Your chest radiograph is normal. Chris, Dr. Gupta doesn't do this for a living. I do. Get well soon. Except Sanjay Gupta isn't a radiologist and isn't trained to do that. But a radiologist, me, sure is. That's a normal chest X-ray. Normal. I wish my X-ray looked like that, but thankfully my symptoms improve daily. Hopefully yours looks like Chris Cuomo since his is a normal chest X-ray. Maybe next time CNN will have a radiologist invited to discuss imaging. Just because someone is trained in a difficult specialty doesn't mean they know everything about the others. I'm reading all the comments here by experienced radiologists, and I'm thinking that this must be embarrassing for CNN. Literally, the first thing they taught me on day one of radiology class was never use the word infiltrate. Oh, and there isn't one there anyways, negative chest. That's it. That's the report. Anyways, it's just pretty embarrassing. But you think CNN's going to take back this baloney? I really just think that this Chris Cuomo guy, not only does he not have it, I think he's the worst liar ever, because anybody who's ever had the flu would listen to this guy and go, what in the F is he talking about? It's like some kind of bad fifth grade storyline, like some child invented this storyline. It's just bad. It's like, J. Emblin, $10. Thank you. See, I can see it on top chat. It works. Need input. Great show with Brian. Yep. That was an entertaining show. And they had some good callers calling in, too. A couple of the callers had some really good info. If you lose 15 pounds in 3 days, you have one of two diseases, end-stage cancer or end-stage HIV, and yes, you would not be feasting. Yeah, I guess it's possible that you could lose, like, maybe, he's he's not like a big fat guy, because if you're really really heavy you can actually lose quite a bit of weight in a short period of time, but he's not 500 pounds, so I just don't see how he could lose that much weight. You could lose some water weight, but then the other 10 pounds plus eating double, no. Like NBC News Nightly claiming one New Yorker dying every 2 minutes. Yeah, that was ridiculous. I had a 2 week fever with this. I forgot to eat and drink. I was out of it. Yeah, I mean, I've never really had fever or a flu that I ever felt like eating that much. The worse the fever is, the less you want to eat. I've never heard of anybody doing that. It just sounds ridiculous. I don't know about 15 pounds, but my boyfriend is skinny and gains and lose weight like no tomorrow. Yeah, but is he going to lose 15 pounds when he's eating double just because he has a flu? I don't think so. Cupie and Skook's not here. Yeah, that's true. I haven't seen, especially Cupie. She used to come all the time, but she's been following the Mandela for a long time, and she might not come on every show anymore. I didn't get the notification. Yeah, I don't know. It just every time it's like that. Boris isn't sick. Yeah, I really wondered about that whole story about the UK Prime Minister. He really just didn't look that bad. He didn't look really sick. Yeah, he didn't brush his hair, so he looked like a bad hair day. He looked like Trump, but he didn't look sick. And then suddenly now he's in the sends Eva toilet paper currency. Why, thank you. I actually have a lot of toilet paper. So I could, if too bad, I could send some to you, but the cost to send to Japan might be prohibitive. And actually, a few of the stores have had toilet paper lately. We're catching back up. I actually have a lot of experience with panic buyers because I lived up northern California. And every time we had a big earthquake, people would panic buy after the earthquake, which I always thought was so weird. But it's like the earthquake is over and we don't expect another one. So why are you buying up everything now? So when I saw what was kind of coming down with this COVID thing, I actually went out and stocked up on a bunch of stuff, and toilet paper was one of the ones. So I'm actually sitting pretty, pardon the pun, with toilet paper, my favorite kind. Because right now you just have to take what you could take. I mean, I didn't buy 10 years supply of it, but I should be fine until it's back in business. I was actually a little low on paper towels, so I'm glad I found some of those the other day. TP currency. I know I was like, should I sell it online? Once your lungs show that shattered pattern, it's the ICU. Yeah, I don't know. See, the thing is, he showed his radiograph, and I'll tell you, I'm not an expert on that stuff, but everybody said that his radiograph was normal, like all these radiologists. And I'm going to trust them because I don't trust the media right now. That's for sure. Just because their media is showing images and saying this is how it is, I wouldn't trust that anymore. Not in this timeline. I think in old timelines, the media was reasonably made an effort to be accurate. They might have been sloppy sometimes. It's very hard not to have a bias of some type. Everybody's got an opinion, even the reporters. But now, currently, I mean, the evidence for the ridiculous baloney is just incredible. And maybe it's always been that way in this timeline. I don't know, but I don't. I really don't trust the media at all right now. Not any of it. Not Fox, not CNN, not any of it. All right, so this particular snippet here is the early models of the projections of how the big C was going to spread. So let's see, April 1, that was the first model, and then they they altered it to this model here, 150,000. And this is how it's actually spreading, this little green blob here. So it's way, way under the projections. So all those, we need all these ventilators, ma, that was all based on these kind of projections up here. This is where we actually are at right here. And these projections, a lot of them were made assuming a heavy lockdown. So you can't say, oh, the lockdown's fixing it, because these were assuming that. Compare the projections from the April 1 and April 7 models to the reality on the ground. And this is just assuming that every time they label something as the big C, it actually is that. Because I've already covered in the other video that there's a lot of weird flim-flam going on with what gets labeled what. All right, see, there's more projections here and here, and this is where we were actually at for hospitalizations. So we're nowhere near it. Anyway, this is just another interesting Twitter. Okay, so I think I've covered most of my complaining about the big C, and we can move on to actual Mandelas. Once your lungs show that shattered pattern, it's to the ICU. Yeah, I don't know. See, that's what the Matrix is telling you on TV. And just be careful. I do listen to that stuff, and I remember it, but I no longer accept that as true anymore. I just put it on the, we'll see list. That's where all the toilet paper. I only have I got like 3 months supply of toilet paper. And I ship, I use toilet paper when I ship because I sometimes ship delicate items. Toilet paper is the best padding. Like a little toilet paper, then you put some bubble wrap and then put it in the box. It's the super shizzle, but. So that was one of the reasons I got a lot of toilet paper. I'm like, well, I need it to ship. But then when it got really rare, I'm like, well, I better not use up all my toilet paper to ship. So I was using paper towels. Yeah, I don't know about your wrap in there needed, but I don't know about that one. But you're already married now, so you don't have to worry about attracting women. So that's cool. Obese people can actually lose 10 pounds in 3 days. Water weight. Possibly. Yeah, that's what I was saying. But he's not a real fat dude. So I don't think he could do it. Yep. And not eating double. Yeah, shattered glass lung. He would not be able to walk around, let alone making videos. And it just doesn't look that sick. It's like Boris. He didn't look that sick either. I know they have this whole storyline where you can suddenly shift and get sick. But I don't know, if you lost 15 pounds, you should look like Night of the Living Dead, And he's just so chipper. I don't know if you've ever remembered the last time you were like super sick. I know for myself that if I have a fever and I'm really sick, I'm also stupid. I mean, like dumb things come into my mouth. My brain isn't working because it's all jammed up with toxins. And Chris Cuomo is the governor of New York's brother. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. See, I don't even know who that guy is. I don't watch the mainstream media that much anymore, so that's why it's got to be some famous person. TP is great for natives. TP. Okay, I don't get that one, but we'll move on. Nobody comes out of the ICU looking like that. Well, yeah, I don't know. He wasn't in the ICU. He just said he was like super, super sick. But and lost 15 pounds in 3 days, which I just don't. He doesn't look that sick. When I'm sick, I get all loopy. Yeah. It's just my brain doesn't work good, and I don't know anybody who does. And they usually look all like their eyes are half open, and they're not all like woohoo, woohoo like him. Okay, so we got that one. So I call baloney on that one. All right, so let's get to some Mandelas now. somebody brought this one up because this timeline just loves to be weird, and a lot of you have probably already heard about this, but there is a what are they calling it? A comet? Yeah, Comet Atlas. But ironically, the other name for the comet is C 2019 Y4 Atlas, and some places were calling it C19. Like as in COVID, you know? And I'm like, what? And oh, they say, oh, don't worry, it is completely just a coincidence that it has the exact same name as C19 COVID. And this storyline is just, I've been kind of watching it because so this comet is supposed to be coming, and they're saying we might be able to see it with the naked eye. Right now, supposedly you can see it with a telescope. It's like going to be greenish blue, they said. And now the storyline is comets can get lighter and darker erratically without, and it's hard to predict, and so they don't know if we'll see it with a naked eye or not, depending on how bright it gets. And they were like, oh, it was getting really bright. Okay, now it's all getting faded, so maybe you won't see it, but maybe it'll get bright again. I don't remember any of that storyline for comets, but I don't remember comets being blue and green either. They were white. In this timeline, it loves their colored comets. So, interestingly, I was watching some like flat Earth style show the other night, and they were saying, why are comets all these colors now? As they were talking about this comet, and they even said, I don't remember comets being colors, and maybe there's something wrong with our atmosphere. There's something weird about the atmosphere. And then they started talking about Venus and why is it so bright? There's something wrong with our atmosphere. So it's very interesting to see the same exact observations across all these different conspiracy theory groups, but they all have a different explanation for it. So their explanation was something's funky with the atmosphere. Our explanation is, it's a Mandela Effect timeline thing or something like that, a reality change. All right, so this thing, apparently it's coming in, it's coming in around mid-April. I was trying to kind of figure out what they were even saying. It's like some of these articles, you're just like, when is it exactly going to be closest? So it looks like around April. They're kind of showing where it'll be. Capella. I don't know. I've never even heard of that star. Venus, Capella. Big Dipper I've heard of. Capella. Apparently there's a real bright star called Capella now. And if it's able to rival Venus, because Venus has gotten ridiculously bright. All right, so that's all weird. Okay, so now we've got this funky blue comet, green comet coming in. And this was a Mandela for me like a year ago. And I'm not sure if I talked about it on here or not because I just wasn't sure on this Emmy. But there's this legend called the Legend of the Blue Star Kachina, which is supposed to be a Hopi legend. There's a little bit of controversy about it in current timeline because historians in this timeline are saying that they never heard of it before the 50s. So it's still pretty darn old, really old, and I've never heard of it until last year. And this is kind of fits the pattern I'm seeing because it's like, first I see some weird thing, and I'm like, I don't remember that ever. And then like 6 months, a year later, then it gets tied in with more conspiracies. So apparently this blue star kachina thing is supposed to be the final sign of destruction before we go into the new earth. And it's supposed to be like this blue, it sounds like it could be like a blue meteor, basically. According to the Hopi prophecy, shortly after blue star kachina is visible to all, the day of purification is realized, the true white brother will come to earth in search of Hopi who steadfastly adhere to their ancient teachings. So there's going to be like a division. There's another story of the division where the steadfast good people are going to be saved and the bad unnatural people will be like shunted away to assumedly unpleasant places. Let's see. So they supposedly the Hopi have this story of these cycles. I just don't remember there being so many traditions of cycle times. Like, so they're basically saying that there's a circular cycle of history and that we're about to hit the end of ours and start a new one. So they're comparing this Hopi tradition to the Maya one of the 2012. I'm trying to find the exact one here. What does it exactly say? Each time one of the worlds is destroyed, like one of the Earth worlds, the faithful Hopi are taken underground and saved from destruction to later emerge and populate the next world. Hopis believe that humanity is currently residing in the fourth world, Tuakachi. I probably killed that name, so I apologize. Tuakachi is also prophesied to be destroyed because of the corruption of humanity. All right, so the final sign of destruction, you will hear of a dwelling place in the heavens above the earth that shall fall with a great crash. It will appear as a blue star. Very soon after this, the ceremonies of my people will cease. The idea of the blue star kachina marking the end of all Hopi rituals is reflected in the Waters Book of the Hopi. So anyways, I don't know. I've heard a lot of references to this blue star kachina and people wondering if it's the Comet Atlas. We've had a whole bunch of these. Like, it seems like every month or two there's going to be a new sign of a new cataclysm in the sky, and nothing really specifically happens. So I'm not really holding my breath that this will happen. Then lately we've had this thing where some people started saying there was going to be a days of darkness. I don't know if that came from the Bible. And then they were saying that there'd be like an internet blackout. And that's another conspiracy theory thing. I'm like, where did the internet blackout one come from? That one just showed up in the last few weeks. And then I've been hearing everybody say, oh, well, Passover, something weird's going to happen on Passover because Passover is an important religious holiday. Plus, you've got the word Passover, which now when I'm looking at it is sort of a weird choice for a holiday. But I don't know. So it's just like the whole weirdness and the whole predictive weirdness is just ramping up so much. There's just like a new weird thing going to happen every 5 minutes. Okay, I'm going to delete all those. I got a whole bunch more actual Mandelas. This is the one that jammed my computer. Let's see if we can have better luck on this one. Venus. Seed. Okay, so I don't remember. First, I have to say, I don't remember originally you being able to, me or anybody being able to see the moon during the day. But now apparently you can see Venus, Jupiter, and Mars during the day. Now, about 2 years ago, I did see Venus towards sunset, so it was like only a little bit dark. And then I had it for like 2 years now. I've only saw it after dark. But apparently and they're saying it's the third brightest thing in the sky after the sun and the moon is Venus. I absolutely never... I have to say, I don't even remember originally being able to see any of the planets, even at night. And then they were just like dots, like faraway stars. And now Venus is like ridiculous. All right, so here... So this spot right here, I don't know if the quality of this stream is good enough, but right here is a dot, and it's supposed to be Venus. But some in here, there are images. This is not my favorite link. I had my favorite link up. Let's see. How to see Venus. Oh, I think it's here. Yes, this is my favorite link, the one that killed before. 6. Okay. So, Only a relative few observers have caught Jupiter with the unaided eye in the daytime, and even fewer have seen Mars. However, it is possible. Indeed, 2018 is the year to attempt this observation. So they're showing you where to see it. This is supposed to be brightest is Venus, Mars just below Jupiter. So that's Mars right there. I don't think you can see it, but basically they're saying that these are all of them. Even some seasoned astronomers are surprised to learn that mighty Jupiter can be glimpsed with the unaided eye in a sunlit sky. It isn't easy observation. Jupiter is dimmer than Venus, blah, blah, blah. All right, well, that's how the Venus thing started for me. You know, at first it was just a dot in the night sky, and it was hard to see, and you had to know exactly where it was. And then it got brighter and brighter and brighter, and now it's like ridiculous, stupid bright. It looks like it's a plane. It doesn't even look like it should be up there. Well, I think that we might see these with Jupiter and Mars too, that they're cranking it. Jupiter, that's supposed to be Jupiter right there. There's the moon and there's Jupiter. It's ridiculous. You can't see. I mean, I guess you can here, but I just want to say, no, you can't do that. Okay, here's another one I've never heard of. You can see the ISS. ISS is sometimes and sometimes not brighter than Venus. Here it is in daytime sky. It looks like Venus. So apparently you can see the International Space Station, the ISS, supposedly. Of course, who knows what it is? Just a dot in the sky, but they claim it's the ISS. I bet you a bunch of people are going, no, it's Nibiru. I always called it Nibiru, but I guess it's Nibiru. Nibiru, that extra planet that was theorized. All right, so this, I believe, here is supposed to be Venus. I think I've shown this image before, actually, but I don't think I quite got my fingers around the idea that you could see it in daytime, and then it can even be crescent Venus, same as the moon. So, like, Venus here has the same crescent as the moon, and then it sets behind the moon. Venus sets behind the moon. Just saying it sounds stupid. All right. This is a really weird statement here. The moon. I don't have any survey statistics, but I'd be willing to bet that at least 75% of the public is unaware that the moon can be seen in the daytime sky. That's not too hard to understand since so many people nowadays spend so much time indoors and are unaware of the sky at all. That is such a crock. I mean, people still walk and drive and stuff. I mean, I'm just trying to argue that people live decades without noticing that the moon is in the daytime sky because they're just not paying attention. It's like it's just I'm sure you can understand my sentiments. Anytime you see something stupid like that, it screams Mandela. It's like, who could even believe that? I don't know. Doesn't anybody go, what? Nuh-uh. Russell Boyles, $14.99. Thank you very much. I think I have a new record for income today. When I was small, I could see stars moving in the sky. My sister used to tell me they are satellites. You know, I used to see this tiny little dot, like I'd be camping and it would go across, and it moves pretty fast. I mean, it moves a lot faster than regular stars and stuff, a lot faster. And I was told that it was the ISS, you know, and I didn't question it at the time, but, you know, they were stargazer people, and that's the ISS. But it definitely moved very differently than normal, very pokey movement. There's another thing. I don't know if you guys have seen this at all. The last week or two, I swear the clouds move so fast. I don't remember moving that fast. And I don't know if we just have extra fast wind lately, but I wonder if you guys noticed that the clouds just hauling butt lately. The only needle that pokes me is a tattoo needle. And those those days are long over. Yeah, the tattoo parlors are all closed. I was trying to get out this ear piercing because it's too tight and I can't get it out. It's stuck. I'm like, I was gonna go to the piercing place and have him clamp down and get it out because it has those backs that you can't grab onto worth a darn. Like, I was gonna put in a longer one. I can't get the dang thing out. I actually pinched at it so much my ear was bleeding the other day. It is said that the Mandela effect has a thing with the S. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, dashes, the S's, the versus no the, Nibiru. Oh, you haven't heard of Nibiru? That was like the conspiracy theory of a couple years ago where they said there was another planet further out past Pluto, and sometimes they would call it Planet X, and that when it came it would like disrupt everything, destroy the world or something like that, various theories. And then, ironically, a few years later, NASA claims that they did find, in fact, there probably is a planet way out, way, way, way past Pluto. So that was one of those weird things where, like, you just happened. So then everybody's like, oh, it's Nibiru, it's Planet X. You're admitting it. And somehow that's kind of not as popular a conspiracy theory lately because it's been replaced by, like, the other 20 of them, like 5G and, all these other ones. Venus was always the evening morning star. Not for me. Oh, no, 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 no. I've seen the moon at noon. Yeah, that's the other thing, For a while I was seeing it a lot during the day, but it's getting hard to see it during the day now. You see it at night only half the time, but it seems like the day, it's kind of like going away. I don't know how to describe it. 1 hour mark. The cat's out there whining. I'm going to go get the cat. He's having it. He's probably all stinky and wet. Hold on a sec. Oh, kitty. Okay, I'll get you. You have to go on video because you are such a little stinker. Oh, you little wet stinker. You little wet stinker. This kitty is a Mandela effect. When I got him, he had stripes all on his back. And now I don't know if you could see it, but he's just like a gray rat. He got really dark. This last year, his stripes are leaving. They're leaving the building. And then under his paws got really dark. So those are cute. He just is to be, all right, kitty. And on his tail, he used to just have rings. So we used to call him the lemur because he would stick up his tail and walk like that. But now the rings they're growing a black cross line on him. So I don't know. Maybe it's a thing in this timeline. I mean, he's like 5 years old and suddenly all his colors are changing. It's weird. So Kitty the Mandela effect. But he still just has the biggest obnoxious meow as ever, so that hasn't changed. How long has the ISS been in the sky? When was ISS launched? That's a good question. 1998. Yeah, I don't remember it. Well, I can't swear to it. I've kind of gone into some of the fishy stuff in the past that I don't quite remember the exact timeline we have. So 98 for this timeline. This is a TB pandemic, antibiotic resistant. There's another theory. I don't know. I still think there's something to do with shifts, personally. Extra nasty shifts. You could say it corresponds with 5G, but maybe it just corresponds with... I mean, everything in reality is so weird right now. There's so many weird... I kind of wondered, is it like a lot of timelines kind of superimposed. You can see so many different stories. Pick your story and you pick your timeline. I don't know. The logo's made for social distancing. Yeah, I think I forgot to cover this, but the VW logo, social distancing. I guess I should stick those together. Audi and VW revised logos to promote social distancing. So you'll laugh about this. So the story is VW split its logo. There it is. So they couldn't have done this in the old timeline so easily because it didn't have a split. But so they made this new logo where they have even widened the split. That's a Mandela for us. I don't want to play their video because I don't want to get a copyright strike. A lot of people getting copyright strikes lately. There it is. So they made this. It's kind of a Mandela slap in the face, supposedly to promote the social distancing. I noticed, was it Fauci that, what is he, the guy, what is his official position, that he's supposed to be the expert on this coronavirus advice for the presidency, and he was saying he doesn't think that things will get back to normal unless there's a vaccine. So that's the latest fear porn thing that everybody's worried about. Mark of the beast, vaccines. I would not be at all surprised if it came about, just because every time there's something that everybody obsesses on for a while, then that thing comes. And lately, the mark of the beast and vaccines, it's like the timeline starts by denigrating it. And that's how flat Earth showed up for me. Everybody was making jokes about, ha ha, you don't believe the Earth is flat. And the next thing you know, there's a bunch of people that believe the Earth is flat. So the whole anti-vaxxer thing, the next thing I know, there's a whole bunch of evidence for anti-vaxxing, like that vaccines are bad. So the more I hear about the mark of the beast, the more I think that something is going to show up that's like that. And it might be this vaccine thing, or who knows. All right, so. All right, this one. Pearl Harbor and Hawaii. Now, I don't ever remember there being martial law in the United States, but apparently there was. And there was also 3 years of martial law in Hawaii after Pearl Harbor. I have never heard of this before. Never heard of this. And all the stories of how the Japanese suffered after the war and during the war with the concentration camps and stuff in the United States, but. And I've mentioned before that apparently now Canada also had those camps for Japanese in this timeline. I don't remember Canada ever doing that. It was only the United States that were the jerks. But apparently now, after Pearl Harbor, Hawaii was put on in martial law for 3 years. Military and FBI agents rounded up suspected spies. Well, yeah, that's not really surprising, but... military took control of labor, and trial by jury was temporarily abolished. I've never heard of that. So it makes it sound like, they're not really clear. Was all juries abolished, or 2,000 were arrested? The Army's readiness to take over every detail of government in Hawaii only hours after the Pearl Harbor attack was in startling contrast to its lack of military preparedness to deal with the onslaught of Japan's air fleets, writes legal historians Harry N. Schreiber and Jane L. Schreiber. So, okay, we've got conspiracy number 79 there. Military rule meant big changes for Hawaiians. Every person on the island, with the exception of children, was fingerprinted and issued identification papers they had to produce on demand. Civilians were banned from photographing any coastal location. Then they're talking about trouble for the Japanese Hawaiians. That would not surprise me, given the history, but the rest of this I've just never heard. At the time, Hawaii was a territory, not a state. The law established territory government in 19... So basically they're saying they could get away with it because it was a territory. The federal government couldn't afford to intern 1/3 of the population of Hawaii. So they sort of made like Hawaii the internment camp, I guess, is the story. But I've just never heard of this. Never heard of it. Doink. Yeah, Kitty's got a big mouth. I'm so tired of Mark of the Beast talk. Yeah, but I bet you it's going to come. Something like that's going to come. I think it will, because anytime there's an obsession about something, it shows up. At least, the last 5-6 years. Gotta go, early day. Thanks for coming by. Yeah, it's only 1:30 here. I just hopped in. What the F? Is that a pig bear? No, it's a sun bear. Sun bear. Ascension symptoms. Yeah, I think that I don't know. There's so many weird things now, but I tend to think that it's shifting timelines. Basically, people are... It might be like kind of the last minute. You've got to make a shift. I don't know. Or maybe some of us did it late last year. Either shift and go with your other peeps in this timeline, or you go to a different timeline. And those that died, maybe they're in the other timeline. That's what Dolores Cannon was saying. Basically, if you leave a timeline, then it may look like you died to the people you left behind. They might all think that we died. There might be a bunch of us go to one timeline, a few people go to some awful timeline, and then they all think, they're the few survivors, in their hell world. Just looking at the cat. All right. When profit interferes with science, we have a problem. Yeah, for medical. FBI wasn't around till Hoover's presidency. Yeah, I really wish I studied history more. If you want to see how crazy the toilet roll situation has gotten, even with police in the UK, watch my last video. Really? Too bad I can't click on your... Oh my gosh, I wish I could just click over to your channel. Yeah, I should just... I saw toilet paper for sale on what's that? Amazon. So if you guys are dying, it's not going to be cheap, but Hawaii was 2.5-hour flight to Japan and moved to 8 hours away last time I checked, a year or two ago. Darn, let me think. No, it wasn't 2.5 for me, because I went to the Philippines. No, where did I go? I went to Guam. No, you know what? No, I don't know. I don't know the distance. That's not one of the trips I've taken. I had the option of going through Japan, but I didn't. How many Evas do you see? Shifting, Merkaba carpet on the fence. Yeah, it's, because it's Dolores Cannon's theory, and I don't know, it kind of resonates with me, but I can't say I'm sure of it. But she was a channeler way back, and she said that that's how it works. The thing with Dolores Cannon that a lot of people, $65 for 12 rolls. Yeah, but if you need toilet paper, you need toilet paper, and 12 rolls last for a long time. So the thing with Dolores Cannon is she predicted all this Mandela effect stuff. She talked about the shifting timelines and the details and histories changing, and she described all this stuff way back before it all happened, before there was the word called Mandela effect. So that's why a lot of people listen to her theories, because she seemed to be spot on what's going on now. And she called this time an ascension, basically, for some of us. Will go to the new earth that will be very good, and the rest will go to the crap earth that will be horrible and destroy itself. So basically, they'd be shed off, and so there'll be like a splitting, and that's what she described. So, and then she described it like that each group would think that they were right. Like we who think, if we think it's ascension, then we'll go to the good place and be like, yeah, we were right. And it's so sad that those others died and couldn't go with. And then the people who go to the hell place, the hell earth, they'll be like, yeah, we were right. And those morons all died in their airy fairy stupid stuff. You know, that's what they'll see. That's how she said it would happen anyway. I don't know. And yeah, one of her other storylines is that that some of us came down here to sort of help shift the earth to, you know, as many people as we could to the better place, because it just wasn't, there wasn't enough, you know, good energy and positive thoughts and stuff to make the shift. Like earth was failing, basically. Definitely on hell earth now. I don't think so. Come on. Just because you don't have toilet paper, I bet you still have ice cream. You have a nice wife and a roof on your head. Japan's pretty cool. And even if some people did push you for the toilet paper, it's not hell. It's not total hell. All right, let's see. I covered that one. I don't know if I mentioned that. I think I did all of these storylines of animals coming out into the cities. They're blaming it on the quarantine now, that the lockdown. So that's the latest excuse for why all these animals are elephants walking through city streets, and tigers and lions walking through city streets. And it's like the weird thing is, you talk to people in these locations and they said that there's still a lot of people walking around outside. So it's really not that locked down, but that's the latest excuse. All right, let me see if I can find this weird lightning I saw. I really need to check up on lightning and see what it's up to. But I saw this interesting video. Hopefully I don't get a copyright strike. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Make it large. Make it happen. Okay. Are you going to start playing? There we go. I don't know if it's the same one over and over again or not. But anyway, it's just really weird. The segments, the way it does the segments thing, some of it and some of it, but this isn't gone, and then the whole thing flashes again. I mean, it's so different from my old lightning that was just one flash, always exactly the same. And then you go down to these comments. I haven't looked at them lately, but there was a whole bunch of people going, oh, yeah, cloud to cloud lightning is really quite common. It's not, because this is channel WTF, which is, you know, stands for what the F. And so if something is too common, then everybody complains. So people are all complaining that this is just no big deal. It's just cloud to cloud lightning and nothing unusual at all. Okay, whatever. And then there's a bunch of other people going, whoa, what is that? I really got to get some time and just see, because the lightning stuff is constantly changing. All right, this is an interesting one. I think it was about 5 years ago they started talking about how everybody dreams in black and white. So, and I was like, no, I don't. I don't dream in black and white because I specifically remember colors. Sometimes, oh, wow, that tree is really bright green, stuff like that. So I knew I didn't. And I talked to a bunch of people, and most of them said, no, no, I totally dream in color. Only a few said that they dreamed in black and white. But the official storyline is everybody dreams in black and white. Everybody does. So then when I saw this today, I was laughing because now there's apparently official research that shows that if you grew up as a child with a black and white TV, then you will dream in black and white most likely. And if you grew up with a color TV, then you'll dream in color most likely. And so that's like a whole different storyline. I never heard of that kind of a storyline before. So it's just kind of a weird shift on that. When I was growing up, I never heard anything about what color you dream in. I just always assume you dream in the same colors you see with. And that's how I dreamt. So then it was all black and white. So now you've got an excuse for whatever. I don't know. Is it different timelines coming together? But the current timeline has an excuse for whatever you see now. It's not all black and white. And the kitty's being all nice. You know, he's usually kind of standoffish, this kitty. He must want something. All right. What do you want, kitty? And he's purring really loud. I don't know if you can hear it. When he starts purring, it is a racket. All right, there's one more really creepy one. I'm going to leave the... It's not spiders, okay? It's not insects, but there's a creepy one. I'm going to leave it till last. We'll go back to that one. Okay. The Spartans. I don't know if you remember your history. Sparta. Supposedly, this is an older Emmy in one part because I don't remember... It used to be Sparta versus Athens. That was the famous storyline that I grew up with. I must have learned it every year in school. Sparta was like the warrior-like city-state, and Athens was the peaceful, democratic-like city-state. And Athens and Sparta fought often, and Athens finally won. And thank goodness, because, you know, then the democratic, more peaceful type of city-state influenced the whole region from then on. Okay, so about 6 months or so ago, I saw that the news story was that Sparta won and Athens lost. I'm like, no. So in this timeline, Sparta won, but that's an older Emmy. So now the new storyline about Sparta, this was like, that's weird because, you know, the Warriors won, but now the Sparta story has changed. I saw this today. I saw a bunch of these today, just running into them. So now the story is that Sparta was never especially warrior-like. They were average. They had no special warrior skills. They probably won only because it was a very high population area, so they had like more people available to like fight. But they weren't that good. Now the old storyline was that all the children, the boys, would start, you know, from an early age learning military skills, and that was one of the reasons that their army was so skilled, because they trained them early. But now it's like, oh no, they mostly just did exercise, and it wasn't really, you know, training for war, and they were just an average. They weren't known for their warrior skills. They were just kind of a typical city-state, basically. That's the story now. So the whole Athens versus Sparta story is basically gone now. Then they're saying that some of the storyline probably came from like propaganda and just assumptions made by later generations, like hundreds of years later in other countries, probably just goofed up and made these wrong assumptions. So that's all gone. There's no more Sparta was warriors. My dreams are in black and white with an old movie filter. So did you grow up with black and white TV, or did you grow up with color TV? Because the storyline is if you grew up with color TV, you'd see color. And if you, as a child, basically. Never seen horizontal lightning. Yeah, they're like, oh, it's just cloud to cloud lightning. My dreams are like acid trips. My dreams are technicolor. I definitely see color. Sometimes the color, again, like moonlit illusion, vivid and lucid color. It's more strong a color than even my waking eyes can see at sometimes. Other times it is kind of shadowy and not well defined, but I've never seen horizontal lightning. You know, I never had this lightning that went. I've never had that. I mean, it just was like, and that was it. It was just 1 millisecond, and that was it. It didn't do all this funky jammer stuff. It's totally trippy now. SoCal is packed on the I-10. Really? Yeah, so much for the lockdown. Is it packed at 1:45 in the morning? Usually by 10 it would slow down. I have ice cream, never even thought. Popsicles either. It's never enough. See, it can't be hell if there's ice cream. That is all that is my final statement on it. And I have said, you know, if you don't have toilet paper, you either have to have a bidet or you're just going to have to jump in the shower real quick. We had black and white and some color TVs. Weird because I'm only 36. If you're 36, you should have totally grown up with color. Huh, interesting. Aren't you a noisy scratcher, cat? This message is held for review. All right, where are we? So, yeah, weird. Okay, I'm coming down the home stretch. Okay, these last two are interesting. Courtney Cox hilariously doesn't remember being on Red. So there's a bunch of stars, famous people who don't remember the shows they were on. Like they don't remember doing them. And first it was just one person, and then it was another, and then I probably don't have them all listed. But so this is the latest in the spiel. So apparently she doesn't remember being on Friends. Let me try to scroll down to where she says that. Darn it. Many fans were shocked to hear Cox recently revealed that she actually doesn't remember too much from her time on Friends. While appearing on Jimmy Kimmel Live via video chat, Cox participated in a trivia game pertaining to a character on Friends. Viewers couldn't believe that Cox actually lost the competition. After the hilarious loss, Cox went on to say, I don't remember even being on the show. I have such a bad memory. So that's so weird. So there's that one. And there's been others that we've discussed. I know I've talked about this one. Lady Gaga does not remember her album Art Pop. She posted, I don't remember Art Pop, which is not her top album, but it's still a fairly famous album. And she posted, I think it was a Twitter post where she doesn't remember being on Art Pop. She doesn't remember doing Art Pop. She doesn't remember it. Then there's Frankie Munoz, which is that guy from Malcolm in the Middle, the kid. He says he does not remember being in Malcolm in the Middle. Now, he blames it, I think it was drug use. And there's two Emmys. Well, there's another Emmy here because his name in this timeline is Frankie Muniz. Yeah, Frankie Muniz. Oops. Doesn't remember. It'll probably come up. Frankie Muniz doesn't remember being in the show. Frankie Muniz, who played Malcolm in the Middle, has revealed that he hardly remembers appearing in the U.S. sitcom because he suffers from memory loss. Muniz starred in the Fox show for 6 years and 7 seasons. So the other thing is a lot of us remember him being his name Munoz, Munoz as the last name, not Muniz. So there's kind of a pattern there that the name changes and then they don't remember things. I think there was that on a couple of the other ones too. Oh, Courtney Cox, people don't remember her current spelling of her name, and then she says she doesn't remember being on Friends. Then there's Munoz to Munoz. Another one, Matthew Perry doesn't remember 3 years of being on Friends. He's lost. I forgot what the excuse was for that, but it's just weird. These people were on these shows, and how could you forget a whole 3 years? And going to these things, they're there for like most of the day. I mean, being an actor is it's not as fun as you'd think because these are long, long days on the set, and there's a lot of sitting around and being bored, and then saying the same thing over and over again, and then you have to memorize your lines. It's like a whole ordeal. It's not like you bop down there for 2 hours a couple times a week and leave. So the idea that somebody would forget 3 years of their life, big chunks of their life, is just hard to really fathom. So the Matthew Perry, let's see, I'm going to pull that one up. And that's another one. I don't remember Matthew spelled with 2 T's. Matthew. I don't know how to spell anything anymore. Remember. Because it's like nothing's spelled right anymore. Matthew Perry doesn't remember 3 years of Friends. I don't remember 3 years of it, Perry says, so none of those. I was a little out of it at the time, somewhere between seasons 3 and 6. He doesn't remember. Oh, and that was drug use again. He blames it on drug use. But still, 3 whole years? I mean, I've known people who took a lot of drugs, but they don't forget entire years of their life. I mean, that's just craziness. I don't know. It's more of a thing in the current timeline. People just not remembering. And I've really noticed that my big chunks of my life have also become really hard to remember. And it started around 2012. I even noticed it. I noticed it then, and I wasn't sure what was causing it. But it's just like all these shifts or something. It's just harder and harder to even remember big chunks of it used to just be an easy thing to remember. Now I have to really fight to like drag out some of those memories. Okay, so a whole bunch of people do not remember the shows that they were in for years. Matthew Perry was blasted out of his mind on drugs. That's why he doesn't remember. Yeah, but you know what? He showed up, acted, remembered all his lines. How blasted can you be and still memorize all your lines and do a really good job and not trip over things? He couldn't have been that blasted. Because I'll tell you, I mean, I'm not really experienced at drugs, but I can still remember. I can be tripping over stuff and falling down. And one time I drank all that alcohol and threw up in the bathroom safely. But I didn't forget any of it. I never forgot any of that time. I mean, my brain may not have been like its peak sharpness, but I do remember all those times, no matter how blasted. And that guy was able to walk around and act totally normal. How blasted could he have been? Just like me, my wife and family claim my brother and sister came to Japan in 2003 and stayed in our old apartment. They all remember things that happened, and we did. I have no memory of it. Yeah, I have the same problem with my friends. Like they'll ask me stuff. So, what did you find out when you researched blah blah blah? I'm like, I never researched that. She thinks I researched. There was some kind of marijuana thing she said I was totally researching. I'm like, I've never researched that. It's the kind of thing I might have decided to research, but I haven't. There was a bunch of other stuff she said I did and this and that. I have no idea what she's talking about. And it goes the other way. I'll be like, how did this thing turn out? She's like, I never did that. I'm like, no, you were right in the middle of it last month. Nope, never happened. So that's why I tend to assume that these missing, forgot 3 years of their lives are more likely to be Mandela's. She has never used drugs and doesn't drink or take medications. I know her very well and trust her with my life. So when she says she doesn't remember a year, I know she's telling the truth. Yep. How well do everyone drink and drive without any problems? All right, so my mother's second husband was an alcoholic. Yes, he drank and he drive quite well. And he remembered all of those times. He didn't forget. If you asked him what happened yesterday at such and such time, what happened yesterday at dinner, he remembered. He didn't forget because he drank every day, so his body was adapted to it. And although he drank a lot, he was adapted to it. And even if he did like super, super drink, and maybe his memory would be fuzzy about some hours that night, he wouldn't forget 3 years. He didn't forget 3 years of his life, the whole 3 years. There might be times, I've known people in college who would drink and get blasted all the time, and they may forget sections of that night, but they wouldn't forget years of their life. And he also looked sober, not hungover, and showed up like you said. And those are long, long hours. They get there at dark o'clock in the morning and they leave late. I drive skillfully while drunk. Experience is the keys. Yeah, suspended license. Yeah, experience. And that the one guy I knew who drove drunk, he had really good reflexes. So even when he was drunk, and it did affect his skills, but he still drove pretty good. He could drive a lot better when he was sober, but he could still drive good enough to like not get a ticket. But not that I'm recommending it. The guy was a jerk, so I don't suggest you do that. But he never forgot. That's the thing. Have fun in Japan lockdown. Apparently, it wasn't that bad, according to the show I watched earlier that Need Input was in. Yep, I could drop acid and remember the entire night and where we got the stuff, and I still remember it all day. Yeah, it's just, I can see him like being fuzzy on some parts, but forgetting a whole 3 years, like every day for 3 years, I don't know. There's been a lot of weird memory people in my life. One guy I dated, he told me that when he was 18, he got violently ill with some kind of flu or something and forgot his entire childhood before he was 18. Like he almost died, and when he woke up, he couldn't remember anything. Like he has no memory before he was 18. So he kind of knows what his life was like by what people told him. And then I met this other guy who got in a giant, he was a race car driver and got in an accident and then almost died and then has no recollection of any of his life before that. And he was like in his 30s. I've just run into a lot of people like that. But I don't know. It just seems strangely too common. All right. So now for the super weird. I don't know. It's weird for me. Where is that thing? I don't know. I'm going to flip out if this is not weird for you guys. But for me, it's weird. brain is starting to get tired now. So whenever I see an article that says blah, 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 10 something, something you probably didn't know about, the minute it says you probably didn't know about, I have to click on it immediately because it just reeks of Mandela. Even if it's kind of creepy and I'm not sure if I really want to know, I still have to click on it. So, 10 cool uses for breast milk that you probably didn't know about. So somebody actually mentioned one of these on Retconned, not thinking it was a Mandela. All right, we know about teething. This is the one they mentioned. Okay. So the story, I guess, is that if your baby has like blocked tear ducts or an eye infection, midwives and doctors are telling the mother to squirt breast milk into the eye of the child. And the breast milk will like unclog the pores and kill the germs. That's the story. You squirt milk in their eye. And I'm sorry, I've just never heard that before. And it sounds creepy. And you can snort it up your nose to clear mucus and relieve congestion in newborns. You squirt the milk up their nose. And if they have diaper rash, you can just squirt milk all over it. I don't know, why don't you just dip the child in milk regularly? If they have eczema, squirt some milk on it. Insect bites, milk. Sunburn, milk. Skin irritations, milk. I'm sorry, but no, it's not right. Milk is like the new, it's like the new antibiotic. Like milk. Sorry. I don't know. And somebody told me that she was told to do this and that it worked. And I'm just like, no spiders. Jay, I'm glad you're safe. My mother was experiencing ME during a bout of illness for a full year. I regret thinking she was mistaken, saying we had seen or read everything. Now that was 2013. Yep. This is the bad place. Oh, I'm so glad that you guys don't all. I was just like, if everybody goes on there and go, yeah, didn't you know? Because sometimes I swear something's an ME and everybody's like, oh, yeah, I always did that. Throw them in the milk. Just dip them in the milk. Can I snort the milk? Yep. I'm pretty sure I didn't even try to monetize this particular video because I knew I was going to talk about COVID and then I was going to talk about the breast milk. And I'm like, we're screwed. I might as well just give up now. Pulled. Yep. Anyway, milk for everything. Oh, all right. I couldn't decide if I was going to put this one on. This is something that I've known about for a while. But okay, I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember the exact terms so I can find this stupid thing. Okay, yeah. There it is. I saw this and I really have been struggling about whether I was going to put it up, but lactation of Saint Bernard. Okay, so apparently in the current timeline, there's a whole bunch of older paintings of showing the Madonna or some such. No, was it Mother? What was it? Teresa? Who was the I think it's the Madonna squirting milk at saints from their boob. And so when I saw that whole milk breast thing, I just thought of this and I'm like, all right, I'll put it on. So apparently there's a lot of them with this Saint Bernard. Saint Bernard he's like a dog. Saint Bernard of Clairvaux. I'm like, who's writing this stuff? Saint Bernard. Lactation of Saint Bernard shows Our Lady holding the infant. Oh, yeah, the infant Jesus with one hand, exposing one of her breasts with her other hand, and squirting breast milk at Saint Bernard of Clairvaux into his mouth. The story goes that Saint Bernard was kneeling and praying when suddenly the Blessed Virgin Mary appeared to him holding the infant Jesus. Mary squeezed one of her breasts, squirting breast milk to him. In one version, the milk went to his mouth, symbolized both that she would be a special mother to him and that she was supernaturally granting him wisdom. In another version, the milk went into his eyes and cured an infection he had, but even this second story could be interpreted as having the same meaning as the first. See, now this section here where it's squirted into eyes, I didn't see that last time. I only saw this first one. So that's interesting. Because I just thought of somebody getting milk squirted on him, and I remembered it going into his mouth. I do not remember it going into his eye. Could symbolize curing. It could symbolize her granting him the illumination of wisdom. Anyway, this is such a bunch of gross, creepy junk that I. Anyway, you can look it up. I actually have a few creepy ones I had conglomerated, and I was going to do a video on just like creepy MEs all at once, but I just wasn't excited about it, so it just never really happened. Lactation of Saint Bernard. And it's Saint Bernard like a dog. I mean, that's the other thing. Saint Bernard. So he's like a dog. I mean, I've never heard of Saint Bernard before this. Have you? Social distancing needed. Yeah, I know. There's other stuff. I mean, that isn't even the worst one, but I'll still talk about. But that video, I didn't make it. Let's just say. So anyway, when I saw this latest breast milk thing, I'm like, uh-oh, that's more of that kind of thing. Superfood like roach milk. Yeah, we've covered the cockroach milk, and we're talking about the insect here. Now that we're on the subject, if you haven't seen all my videos, you may not have seen this one, but cockroach milk has gained buzz as superfood due to its nutritional content. In fact, lab research has shown that it is more than 3 times as nutritious as cow milk, buffalo milk, and human breast milk. 45% protein, 25% carbs. Cockroaches. Scientists think cockroach milk could be the next superfood. Okay, well, whatever. I hope there's never a timeline where you change your day. I thought it was Tuesday till I saw you. You know, if you're on lockdown, it can be hard to know what day it is, because if it wasn't for like garbage day, then I don't really have a lot of things determining what day it is anymore. I'm still going to work, but I do that every day anyway. So, but I used to play pickleball and stuff, and now I don't. So I get confused about what day it is. I know there's other ones. All right, I'll have to look now. I'll do a Google and see, but apparently there's lots of these images. There's that one. There's another one. I mean, so they painted a whole bunch of these. It's not just like one painting. It was like a thing, supposedly, back then. I mean, look at these things. They didn't have the eye one, though, last time I looked, like a couple years ago. It was mouth only. And yeah, I was just thinking, I'm like, this is some weird, creepy fetish thing. How do you get milk from a cucaracha? Yeah, I'm not sure. They said it takes a lot of roaches. I'm like, that's going to be the most expensive milk ever invented because, I mean, how many milkings do you have to do to get a glass of milk out of? I mean, how many cockroaches do you need? Don't cry over spilt milk. Yeah, it has a whole new meaning now. Well, anyway, that was my last creepy thing. The lactation. Yeah, shouldn't it be four? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't think about it. I know what you're saying. Um, I mean, even if you put four instead of, it really doesn't. Morpheus' dreams of sleep is saying, shouldn't it be lactation for Saint Bernard instead of the lactation of Saint Bernard? But even that, the lactation for Saint Bernard, that doesn't exactly make sense. I don't know. Giraffe milk is said to be very good too. It's right next to the almond milk. Yep. Well, I don't know. Maybe they'll make like GMO bacteria that create cockroach milk or something. I don't know. Yeah, I heard today they made a plant that's half tomato and half potato. Um and it has potato nodules as the roots and then it has tomatoes on the top, and I've never heard of that until today. Of course, my friend who almost always gets all the downloads is like, "Oh yeah, sure, those have been around a long time, but milking the clock isn't healthy." Cockroaches, yeah, I guess they do. I'm going to look it up again. Well, I don't think they did in my old timeline, but birds produce milk too. There's like this weird milk substance they make. And a lot of creatures make milk like substances here that aren't mammals. Cockroach milk is a protein rich crystallized substance produced by a specific type of cockroach called Diploptera punctata. This species is unique because it gives birth to live offspring. Members make milk from the form of protein crystals to serve as food for their developing young. Can you buy cockroach milk? Apparently not. Where does roach milk come from? The cockroach milk is made by nutrient-rich milk crystals produced by Pacific beetle cockroach. I wonder if you could buy it. Buy online. Seriously? Lucky bug cockroach milk. I wonder if it's a joke though. Buy cockroach milk features. Cockroach milk tastes like cow's milk. How could it taste like cow's milk? Buy. Doesn't look like you could buy it yet. Is the company actually making cockroach milk? Doesn't look like it. Yes, it's very real. Cockroach milk is like good old cow's milk, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I give up. Anyway, it's late, so I think I'll be shoving off here soon. Let's see what you guys are up to. Roach ice cream, yum. I can't believe it tastes like cow's milk. I'm not swallowing that, pardon the pun. Hey, the cockroach milk is better than the subject that came before, all right? I'll take cockroach milk any day. What is the name of that plant? Which plant are we talking about? Oh, tomato, potato. It was a combo one. Was it tomelo or was it all right. Hybrid. See what it is. Pomado. That was it. That was it. Pomado is. Oh, it's, you know what? It's grafted. I'm sorry, but I still don't remember you being able to graft such variant species. So there it is. Pomado. Pomado. I mean, that's really efficient. So you got potatoes and you got tomatoes. I mean, that's one efficient beast. Looks like he's got a lot of both on there too. So supposedly it's legit. I think Stuffer is more compatible in this timeline. Used to be only be able to graft really related species, but this timeline is more forgiving. Unfortunately, germs supposedly jump more species in this timeline too. I couldn't really picture baby roaches drinking breast milk. You know, these other creatures, they seem to like excrete it, um, but they don't really have boobs. Although the elephants have boobs now, so I used to pick up frogs as a kid, and one squirted milk at me. Well, it was probably poison. I mean, frogs do squirt poison. That is from my old timeline. Pomado. Yeah, no, it's grafted. I don't think that those two grafts would take in my old timeline. I think in this timeline it's more forgiving. Okay. Anyways, it's late. I'm sure you guys all want to go to bed soon. Well, maybe not if it's not middle of the night for you guys, but I know I do. So it is time. All right. I don't think we need that. It's time for me to hit the hay. So thank you guys. Appreciate you coming as usual. I'm not even. Look, it's not receiving data. And if it's not receiving data, I can't turn it off. This again. You know, I can try stopping the sending, but it never comes to the complete. And it'll just keep recording nothingness if I turn off the sending end. I need to figure out how to get to the video. See, it doesn't give me the option to stop it because it thinks that I'm not sending. It was doing that the other day too. I don't know. YouTube. You could see all the very important cat videos and dog videos that I watch all the time. One must have important, useful things to watch in between work hours. Derp, derp, derp. All right, how can I make it stop? Live. You know, they keep changing it. I don't know how to. Yeah, it's still live. Make it stop. Details, analytics, view and live control room, options. Nope, I can't make it stop there. I'm going to try this other studio and see if I have any better luck. End stream. That must be it. All right. Let's hope this works. Think good thoughts, everyone. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.